A request I've gotten strangely frequently is a weapons tier list. Normally I don't listen to comments. Normally I just point them to any video where I explain the damage formula. But I guess I'll make one? It's mostly that higher attack is better. Broadly, you can break weapons down into 3 categories. Weapons for children, two-handed, and normal. Most of the categories cannot compete evenly with each other because how do you compare the Claymore's downside of losing a shield to the dagger's upside of the girl can equip it? So this is really 3 tier lists, not 1, and I'm going to start with the shortest one. The child weapons are Dagger, Skeleton Arm, and Cursed Dagger. None of these have any special properties. They only offer damage. So, since the attack stat is the honest stat, the tier list looks like this. The actual best weapon you can give to a child is the Combustion spell, though. At 400 fire damage and 60% odds to burn, it's close to the best weapon in the game and turns any child into an amazingly powerful party member. The two-handed weapons are their own category because skeletons and Enki can't equip them, and they take away your shield. Whether or not a damage increase is more valuable than taking up to 20% less damage can't really be determined because of how many different factors add into it. The two-handed weapons are Crude Sword, Claymore, Iron Spear, Short Bow, Circle Spear, Bone Shears, War Scythe, and Ritual Spear, plus their cursed versions. The cursed versions are all just better versions of the normal weapon, but doesn't really affect the placement at all. Most of these weapons only offer damage with no special properties, and the ones that offer special effects are the Bone Shears, War Scythe, and Short Bow. You might want to point out that the Ritual Spear poisons someone and counts as a special weapon, but you're wrong. It's supposed to poison someone, but wasn't programmed properly and has no special properties. Bone Shears offer absolutely massive damage, with the cursed version coming in second place to only the Circle Spear for highest attack in the game. They're also the only two-handed weapon a skeleton can use. Just one problem. They subtract 50% from your hit rate. This would normally make them so terrible it's not worth using them, but in the rare circumstances that you have one of these, a skeleton in the party, and a pair of glasses, and nothing useful to stick in the skeleton's accessory slot, they're alright. They'll eventually get outclassed by stuff like the White Angel Soul, but they're easily the best two-handed special weapon. The second best two-handed special weapon is the Short Bow. It has a unique effect outside of combat. It lets you shoot enemies to damage or defeat them before combat. This is occasionally useful, but you never want to bring it into combat. Aside from the dagger, it has the lowest attack stat in the entire game. Because it prevents you from using a shield, this weapon can be situationally worse than going in barehanded. The worst two-handed weapon, and worst weapon in the entire game, is the War Scythe. The War Scythe makes an attack against every target in the fight. This special attack has a 70% chance to fail even before enemy evasion is factored in. Eyeglasses don't affect this. There's no way to improve its accuracy. Never equip this weapon. You're better off barehanded. For the rest of the two-handed weapons, the only thing that matters is their attack stat and occasionally otherworldly damage, so the Circle Spear is the best one unless you're fighting scarabs or ghosts. The one-handed weapon list is the longest list. You've got the Short Sword, the Meat Cleaver, the Iron Mace, the Long Sword, the Eastern Sword, Miasma, the Shark Teeth, the Morning Star, the Axe, the Scimitar, Blue Sin, and the cursed versions. Of these, Blue Sin, the Eastern Sword, and technically Miasma have special properties. The Eastern Sword has a 44% crit rate. When you purify it, it jumps to a 74% crit rate. This means its damage varies a lot, but its crits can kill most things in one hit. I wouldn't take it for every possible situation because a low damage roll at an inconvenient time can end your run, but I'd consider it tied for first place. Blue Sin starts off dealing otherworldly damage, but when you curse it, not only does it gain a damage increase, it turns into a dual element fire/otherworldly sword with a 70% chance of causing burning. If you've watched my other videos, you know how insanely powerful burning and poison are. I prefer this over the Eastern Sword, but consider it tied for first place since they both have their uses. Miasma is a pretty easy to ignore downside. If any of the 4 main characters equip it and walk over certain tiles while low on mind, a cutscene happens and someone might die. In the hands of a skeleton or Lagarde or someone with high mind, or while not walking in those 3 places, you don't have to worry about it. It's the 3rd best one-handed weapon overall. For the rest, the only thing that really matters is their attack stat. Higher attack is more better. I will make special note that the Cursed Scimitar and Cursed Axe don't deal otherworldly damage, making them useless against ghosts and a poor choice for cursing. And that's all of it. If you want to memorize this tier list, you only have to remember 4 things. A higher attack stat means a better weapon. Unless that weapon is the Bone Shear, since they missed half the time without eyeglasses equipped. The Purified Eastern Sword's crit rate and the Cursed Blue Sin's burns tie them for first place. Never equip the War Scythe.